Ahoy, Digital Explorer! Your presence here fills my screen with joy. Click subscribe and let's ride this wave of fun together. Onward. For context, I'm a 29-year-old man who had been dating Eliza, 27, for nearly 2 years. We first met at the grand opening of a local craft brewery through a mutual friend. The connection was instant, and things moved along effortlessly after that. Eliza was sharp, driven, and worked in marketing at a tech firm. I owned a physical security consultancy that focused on installing surveillance systems and access control for businesses and upscale residential properties. Over the last 5 years, the company had seen consistent growth. Although Eliza and I hadn't officially moved in together, we alternated nights between her apartment and my house. I owned a place just outside the city, a property I'd bought 4 years earlier after landing several lucrative corporate contracts. Her downtown apartment was more convenient for her job. Then there was the ex, Kyle. I'd heard his name from the very beginning. He and Eliza had been together for 3 years, splitting up about a year before she and I got together. According to her, they parted ways because their priorities didn't align. He was looking to settle down and she wasn't quite ready. It sounded like a clean, mutual breakup. But what wasn't so typical was how frequently his name popped up. Updates on Kyle's new role, his travel photos, even tidbits about his family drama would surface in casual conversation. I never raised an eyebrow, I'm not the jealous type, and figured some people genuinely remain on friendly terms with exes. Personally, it's not my thing, but I let it go. Around the 6-month mark in our relationship, Eliza mentioned that her office was considering upgrading their security infrastructure. Since that's my area of expertise, I offered to assist. No strings attached. She introduced me to her manager, we negotiated a service agreement, and I installed the new system for them. As our relationship deepened, Eliza occasionally pitched in with marketing guidance for my business. It wasn't an official role, just informal help here and there when I needed a second opinion. Her insights were always thoughtful. Then came my birthday. Eliza offered to take charge of all the planning. She booked a table at a high-end restaurant I'd mentioned wanting to try, and she curated a guest list of close friends. I was genuinely touched by the gesture and excited for the evening. The day before the dinner, she casually added, "Oh, by the way, I invited Kyle too." I looked up from my laptop. "Kyle? Your ex?" "Yeah. Is that a problem? We're just friends now, and he knows most of the people who'll be there." Something about it felt off, but I didn't want to seem possessive or petty. "Sure," I said. "It's just dinner." The night arrived. We were seated at a large table for 8. My best friend Tom and his wife were there, along with my business partner Jared and 2 other couples we often spent time with. Drinks were flowing, conversation was light. We were all just waiting on the final guest. Kyle arrived 20 minutes late, making a bit of a show of it. In his hands, a bouquet of purple dahlias. I instinctively turned to Eliza, who was absolutely glowing. Kyle walked straight past me and handed her the flowers. "For you," he said. "Happy spring." It was October. Eliza accepted the bouquet with a grin. "You remembered. Purple dahlias. I still love them." Silence blanketed the table. All eyes shifted between Kyle, Eliza, and me. Tom's wife shot me a look filled with awkward sympathy. Jared glanced my way like he wanted to intervene, then thought better of it. Only after all that did Kyle finally acknowledge me with a quick nod. "Happy birthday, man." Apparently, the birthday boy didn't merit flowers. Dinner carried on, but I may as well have disappeared. Kyle took over the table, filling the air with stories and private jokes he shared with Eliza, references none of us understood. He was seated directly across from her, locking eyes with her every few minutes, like they were the only 2 people in the room. I sat at the head of the table, supposedly the reason for the celebration, but I felt like an afterthought. Eventually, the waiter brought out the birthday cake, candles lit. The group sang. Eliza wrapped her arm around me for the first time that night, offering a smile as if everything was fine. I stared at the flickering candles, and in that moment, the truth of it all hit me. "Make a wish," someone said. I glanced from Eliza to Kyle, then back at the flames. I wished for clarity, for dignity, for the strength to do what I knew I had to. I blew out the candles, stood up, placed my napkin neatly on the table, and said with calm finality, "Thanks for coming, everyone. I need some air." Eliza looked up at me, puzzled. "You're leaving? We haven't even had cake." "I'm not hungry anymore," I said. "Let Kyle have my slice. He's already taken enough tonight." I step outside, deliberately tuning out the sound of Eliza calling after me. The night air hits me as I take a long, steady breath, not in anger, but with a clear sense of finality. I pull out my phone, request an Uber, and head home. Almost immediately, Eliza's messages start pouring in. "Where are you going? You're overreacting. This is your birthday dinner. Kyle's just a friend. Please come back so we can talk." I respond with a single definitive text. "I'm not coming back, not tonight, not ever. We're done." She calls again and again. I ignore every ring. Instead, I head straight home and do what I should have done a long time ago. Logging into my home security system, I begin to review the archived footage. One of the core services my company provides is high-end physical security, surveillance systems, smart locks, and access monitoring. My own home is fitted with one of our best custom packages: entry point cameras, biometric smart locks, full system integration, all controllable through a secured app. When I installed it, I'd walked Eliza through the setup, pointing out where the cameras were located outside, mainly for her peace of mind whenever she spent the night. The system automatically logs all activity, and I make it a habit, both professionally and personally, to check those logs routinely. Nothing had ever seemed off before, but then again, I'd never had a reason to dig deeper. Until now. I focus on the days when I'd been out of town for work, specifically those business trips that had taken me away for a few nights at a time. And that's when a disturbing pattern begins to take shape. There it is. A car I recognize all too well pulling into my driveway. It's Kyle. I watch as he uses an access code to enter my home. A moment later, Eliza greets him at the front door, not with the manner you'd expect from someone welcoming a friend, but in a way that confirms everything I suspected. I don't watch long, just enough to know the truth. I don't need every detail. What I needed was confirmation, and now I have it. Next, I dig into the smart lock's access history. Eliza has her own authorized code, of course, but another code keeps showing up, one that was used exclusively on the days I was out of town. 5953. Something about it sticks out. I match the timestamps to the surveillance footage. It's always Kyle using it. On a hunch, I check the keypad layout. On a standard phone T9 pad, 5953 spells one name: Kyle. She gave him a personalized code to my house without telling me. Immediately, I revoke all user access codes, leaving only my own. I update the alarm settings as well. Then I send Eliza one single image, a still frame from the security footage. It shows Kyle entering my house, time-stamped 3 weeks ago, right when I was away in Denver for a security conference. Her response is almost instant. I can explain. I don't respond. Instead, I open a new email draft addressed to her supervisor. Since I'd handled the installation of their company's security infrastructure, I had a professional rapport with their team. I keep the message courteous and formal, letting him know that due to a personal conflict of interest, I'll be assigning a different account manager to handle their support going forward. I assure him that service continuity won't be affected in any way. To maintain professionalism, I copy my operations director on the email, making it clear that this is a formal business decision, not a personal grievance. Then I reach out to my property manager, Mark, a longtime friend from college. A few months back, I'd bought a condo downtown as part of an investment strategy. Ironically, the unit was in the same building where Eliza lived, though this was pure coincidence. I'd come across the opportunity through a business associate, and the numbers were solid. I'd mentioned to Eliza that I owned a rental property, but I'd never given specifics, and she hadn't asked. Her unit was 3B. Mine, just a few doors down, was 3F. I text Mark. Hey, tenant in 3F at Parkview mentioned some ceiling water damage in the bathroom. Mind checking it out when you get a chance? Might be a plumbing issue affecting neighboring units too. The tenant had brought up the leak a week earlier, and I'd already asked Mark to coordinate with a plumber. The tenant's travel schedule had delayed the inspection, but now felt like an ideal time to follow up. Mark responds within minutes. No problem. Plumber's set for tomorrow morning. I'll notify building management and let them know we might need to inspect nearby units too, just in case. I go to bed that night more peacefully than I expected. By morning, Eliza sent 27 text messages and left 13 voicemails. I don't open a single one. Instead, I call Tom, one of my close friends, who was still trying to process what happened the night before. Man, he says, after you walked out, things got really weird. Kyle tried to play it off like nothing was wrong, but it was awkward as hell. Everyone was uncomfortable. Eliza couldn't stop checking her phone. After about 20 minutes, the two of them left together. They went back to her place, I say flatly. It's not a question. Probably, he replies. What are you going to do about it? I already am, I tell him, and then walk him through the security footage situation. He lets out a low whistle. Cold-blooded, but fair, I reply. And that's not even the whole story. I tell him about the apartment. Wait, hold on, he says. You own a unit in her building, and she doesn't know? Bought it 3 months ago as a rental. Good deal, great location, well below market, I explain. She knows I invest in property but never asked for details. And now, coincidentally, there's a plumbing issue that needs attention. 3 days after the disaster that was the birthday dinner, it happens. My phone rings. It's Eliza. I ignore it. She tries again, and again. While I'm in the middle of a client meeting, the texts start coming in. What did you do? There's water all over my apartment. The plumber says the leak is coming from the unit next door. My entire bathroom ceiling just caved in. Please call me. Truth is, it wasn't nearly as simple as she assumed. The plumber traced the issue to a slow, long-term leak in the wall shared by Unit 3F, my rental, and her place, 3B. Turns out the pipe had likely been leaking for months, quietly causing internal water damage. The second the wall was opened up to inspect, the trapped water burst through, soaking both units and leaving a mess behind. The building's maintenance supervisor ruled both apartments unlivable until repairs could be done. Timeline for restoration? Roughly 3 to 4 weeks. I hadn't caused the problem. It was a legitimate infrastructure failure that would have eventually been discovered. But the timing, well, it couldn't have been more perfect. She calls again that night. This time I pick up. Where am I supposed to go? She demands, skipping any kind of greeting. I heard Kyle has a nice place, I say coolly. You know everything? Yes, Eliza. The security cameras. Did you really think I wouldn't notice you sneaking him into my home while I was out of town? There's a long pause. I was going to tell you. When? After that dinner? When you sat there smiling while he gave you flowers? Or after I found his personal access code in my home security system? 5953? That ring a bell? She doesn't answer. Anyway, I continue. What you do from here on isn't my concern. We're over. I already boxed up your stuff. It's in the garage. Let me know when you want to collect it. I'll make sure it's on the porch. You can't just... I already have. And by the way, I add, you no longer have access to any of my business's marketing platforms. I've already informed your supervisor. You're destroying my life over one mistake, she cries. One mistake? I shoot back. You were sleeping with him in my house for months. That's not a slip-up. That's a strategy. Fine, she snaps. You know what? Kyle and I were meant to be anyway. He never stopped loving me. Fantastic, I say. Hope it works out for you. Then I end the call, block her number, and pour myself a drink. Happy birthday to me. 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in a coffee shop when Tom sends me a text. Check Kyle's Instagram lately? I hadn't. I pull it up and see photos from a weekend trip. Kyle posing with a woman who definitely isn't Eliza. Caption: weekend escape with my favorite person. Hashtags: no filter, just happy. For a second, I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. A week after that, I run into Sarah, one of our mutual friends, at a brewery. She fills in the blanks. Eliza had moved in with Kyle after her apartment flooded, thinking it was finally official between them. 3 days later, Kyle's ex showed up, and he told Eliza to pack her bags. She's now holed up in an extended stay hotel, and the bill is draining her paycheck. She really blew it, Sarah says quietly. You were good to her. Ancient history, I reply. The pun hits me a second later. Water under the bridge. I chuckle. For what it's worth, I told her she was being an idiot, Sarah adds. Kyle's always been a player. I shrug. Not my circus anymore. And it wasn't. I didn't feel bitter. I wasn't chasing some elaborate revenge plot. The truth was enough. I'd stood my ground, and the universe handled the rest. 6 months down the line, business is booming. I brought on a new technician and added more services to our offerings. I'm seeing a few people, nothing serious. The house is calm, quiet, my own space again. About a month ago, Eliza sent me one final message. Her apartment repairs were finally finished. She'd moved back in and found one of my old sweatshirts in the closet. Did I want it? I replied with the address of a local donation center. Because sometimes the best form of payback isn't about scheming or vengeance. It's about knowing your worth, walking away with your dignity intact, and letting karma do the rest. And every once in a while, birthday wishes do come true.